Hi, welcome to another round of Ray's Boom Boom Room. I'm your host, Ray Mancini. Here with my ace corner man, cut man, everyday man, Mike Case.
Every day.
And every
all day.
Every day, all day.
Mhm.
A very special guest today. We have Damian Knapp with us, who is a local musician, and we're going to hear his story and talk about his career. And I met Damian, we met, a couple weeks ago?
We did, but we met when I was younger.
Yeah, you're going to tell that story too.
All right.
You're going to tell that story too. But I actually met him as an adult a couple weeks ago. Came in and interesting story. So we invited him on, come on as our one of our guests. So I think you'll hear the story, you'll enjoy it. But before we do that, talk about a couple of things. One of them this weekend on Fox.
This weekend coming up?
This coming up.
Okay.
I will not do a studio show, but I will be going leaving tomorrow. I shouldn't be saying that.
What is this? Is this secret?
Well, no, but it's not good that people know that I'm not going to be home. But
Well, your family might be there.
Yes, but that's not the.
You have like a Kato Caitlin that stays at your house
No,
and just keeps an eye on
we
it?
do. My wife. We do have people come over to stay at my wife. When I'm
Yeah,
not
there you go. See?
Yeah, and we have vicious dogs. So there you go.
Beware of dog.
Yeah, but I'm this weekend. I'll be in the studio on Thursday and Friday for the press conference show on Thursday, which is on FS1 from 4 to 5 East Coast time, and then the weigh-in show on Friday 4 to 5 on East Coast time, and then I'll be coming back, taking a red eye out, coming back, and I won't be in a studio show.
You get a weekend off.
But we usually have a studio show. At this time we won't.
Uh-huh.
So for whatever reason.
Where's
But
the fight this
The
week?
fight's gonna be in New York. I'll be in the studios in LA.
Okay.
But the fight, I'm gonna tell you, it could be a fight of the year candidate. It's gonna be between heavyweight Adam Kovnowski, and if you remember him, Adam is the one. And when he last fight, he won. He knocked out Gerald Washington, who just won last week on 2 weeks ago. He was on our FS1 show, and he won when we were in Minnesota.
Okay.
And he knocked out Robert Hellenius from the Netherlands. He was losing big going into the 10th round, and he caught him with a right hand. Boom, dropped him like a sack of rice. And that's all right. We have people coming and walking in. That's all right.
It's all right. Don't let it bother you. Don't let it phase you.
And
Don't let it
so
phase
anyhow, but Gerald Washington, he beat Gerald Washington, stopped Gerald Washington. So Adam Kovnowski can fight. And let me tell you something. Him and Chris Arreola will be a fight of the year candidate. Fight of the year candidate. If he gets past Chris Arreola, they're talking about him fighting Andy Ruiz for the title. After Andy Ruiz has a rematch with Joshua, who I think he'll beat. Again, I don't think it was a chance that he beat Joshua. I think he's just Andy Ruiz can fight his ass off. I think he'll beat Joshua in the rematch. And we're talking about Andy and Kovnowski fighting, and that will be a fight of the decade.
Really?
Now, that two together.
You like it, huh?
Oh, man.
Knockdown, drag out,
Absolutely.
slugfest.
Come forward. Guys, great chins. Both can punch. Both got great high boxing IQ.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fight I want to see. That's, if you want to, you say, well, who are these guys? Andy Ruiz, who beat Joshua, and Adam Kovnowski, who's fighting this weekend against Chris Arreola. He's originally from Poland, but lives now in Brooklyn, New York. You're gonna love this kid, man. He can fight.
So hometown crowd for him.
Yeah, this kid can fight his ass off, and you'll like him. So anyhow, the fight on Saturday night on Fox, and there you go.
How come they don't have a studio show? Any idea?
Well, I don't know. It's summer. I think it's because it's summer.
Yeah.
We'll start up again next month. We'll be back in the studio again. I don't know. We did it a couple times this summer. We didn't do it.
It's all right to get a couple days off,
I
right?
gets me out of there earlier, but I enjoy doing the studio show. I really enjoy talking about the fights after the fact and stuff. And but hey, that's the other thing. It's my class 40th reunion,
Go ahead.
and I didn't think I was going to make it, but I will be there now. So that's the episode.
That's this weekend coming up?
This Friday. It's a Saturday night.
Oh, my goodness.
40 years from Cardinal Mooney High School, class
Wow.
of 79. I will be there because I didn't think I was going to be. So that's the upside. I will be there.
Is there anyone you're looking forward to seeing?
Not everybody. I have
You
friends.
keep in touch with those people?
Yes and no. I mean, I see a lot of them around town.
Yeah.
Some of them you keep on Facebook friends and stuff. Like a lot of people, with your ex-classmates, you stay on through Facebook and stuff.
Yeah.
But originally people were asking, are you going to make it? And I said, no, because we had the show. And I just found out last week will be no studio show. I thought I'd be in the studio for this,
Yeah.
so I didn't think I was going to make it. Very disappointed. I was very upset. But I will be in the studio, so I won't be in the studio, so I will be at the reunion.
Good consolation prize.
Saturday night. As I'm watching the fights,
Yeah.
I'll be at the studio. Last thing, I do want to give a couple deaths this week that were very close friends of mine. One of them, the president and founder of the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame, George Randazzo. We didn't have one. So 1978, he created the National Italian American
I never
Sports
heard
Hall
of
of
it.
Fame
You ever heard
in
it?
Chicago.
No.
It's in Chicago?
Chicago.
Yeah.
But it started as from one room to from one room, and it had some Holiday Inn gave him a room to a 40,000 square foot building on Taylor Street on the south side of Chicago. And George, nobody did more for the Italo-American community than George Randazzo. And very close friend, very dear friend. He came to Youngstown to watch my fights. He used to go to my mother's house early on, and his whole family, his wife Linda and his sons Mark and Tony. Tony is one of the top in National League, American League umpires.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Tony's an umpire. For
How old do
many,
you
many
think
years.
he was?
George is 77.
Wow.
Not a young man, but
It's a good life, though, huh?
he had a good life, and he unfortunately passed. It hit us all 2 days ago. On Sunday, I got the call Sunday morning, and it affects everybody because the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame is now becoming one of the premier events we do every year. Premier Hall of Fames. You know, you got the football, baseball. The National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame is right up there with them because we got things. They have my robes. We have a car that Mario Andretti drove, hanging up.
No kidding.
I mean, you get things that you can't get from other places, and so anyhow, it's a loss for not only for the Randazzo family, for the city of Chicago, but all of Italo-Americans because of what George. Now they'll go on. The National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame will go on, and this year will be our 40th anniversary. And George was calling. I just talked to him a week or two ago how excited he was about the 40th anniversary. Ray, you got to be there. So anyhow, I just wanted to say a shout out to all the people who know of George and what he meant to the Italo-American community and what he meant to me personally and for everybody. It'd be sadly missed, man. He was a loving man. So anyhow, and locally, just local, because a kid I played ball with, one of the best athletes I ever played ball with, baseball, when we were 13-year-old All-Stars all the way through, when I played with Camel AC, Brian Halfill, who went to Ursuline, local rival school, one of the best athletes I ever played with. And he unfortunately died of a heart attack.
Too young.
Yesterday.
Wow.
Yesterday. So for the Halfill family, his friends, all of us, it'd be sadly missed. He was a wonderful guy, man, just a terrific friend, terrific family man, father. And yeah, sadly missed. Again, just a lot of friends, and you get that call, man. It's just, life is so precious. David, I'm sure you understand. Life is so precious that you don't know. And guys, 177, we live a good life. Brian's 58,
Right.
my age. I mean, too many guys lately have been taken too soon.
Well, my
Too soon.
high school football coach, Phil Anarella,
Yep.
I was on that team in '90 that won the state championship.
No kidding.
He just passed away, and that hit me real hard
I'm
because
sure.
he was in great shape. Never had a drink, never had a smoke, nothing like, totally clean living. And 70 years old, boom. So
Yeah.
that's it.
It's heartbreaking.
It was
So-
real tough.
So anyhow, we just want to say that before we get into the show, that anybody listening locally, everything, we had a couple locally, nationally, some devastating losses in my life recently, and it just makes you appreciate life more and makes you enjoy life more. And the old saying, life is meant to be lived. Live it, man. Live life, man. Do things in life. Take shots in life. Have a drink now and then. Enjoy life. Drive a good glass of wine. Enjoy a good cigar. I mean, I don't know, but I told a story of a guy I met, was a portly guy, and it was a couple of years ago in L.A., and, he was an aspiring writer. He want to talk about a project. And he said, you know, and I invited him to lunch, and I invited, would you like a glass of wine? Oh, no, I don't drink no wine. Okay. Afterwards, we said, so would you like a cup of coffee? No, I don't drink any coffee. Okay. Like any dessert? No, I don't drink any coffee, dessert. I don't eat any dessert. Would you like a cigar? No, I don't. He says, Mr. Mancini, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't eat dessert. So I said, why? So I said, why? There are pleasures of life. A good cigar, a good glass of wine, good espresso, good dessert. What's better to enjoy in life than that? I said,
I'm on that side.
Because I told him, I said, nothing for nothing. You ain't missed many meals.
No.
So, I mean, you know, if you live a disciplined life,
Right.
and like these triathletes, they're disciplined and everything. There you go. I get it. But if you ain't missing many meals, but I don't drink I don't have a little dessert. I don't drink coffee. And have a glass. Why? They're pleasures of life to enjoy.
Well,
and I enjoy them.
You know Derek Tolles, right?
Yes.
Warren football player.
Absolutely.
I just saw him. He doesn't eat poorly, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink. And I said, well, first of all, we probably won't be friends. But second of all, he said, you know why? He said, if you want to be your best and you put that stuff in your body, you're not at your best.
Well, that makes sense.
And so I see what he's saying, too. So I see both sides.
It's like, look.
I don't agree with both sides. I just see both sides.
Obviously, you put it in your body. If you do it now, I disagree. If you do it on a regular basis, if you know, it's like I'm always talking about driving a car. If you put crap gas in a car, it drives like crap. Same thing with your body. If you put crap food and beverage into your body's gonna run like crap. But Derek, I agree with in theory, but a good little dessert.
Treat yourself.
I enjoy life. I drink my wine every day. I actually cutting back on wine because I realize
You got a
I drink
problem?
a bottle a day. No, I don't. But it's a bottle, which is that's a lot of. It's a lot of empty calories. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I got. I mean, I work out. I'm happy. I'm a middle-aged man. I got a middle-aged body. But a lot of these things, I'm like, man, you know, here I do my ab work. You ain't getting shredded.
Yeah.
But it's got to go somewhere. So I'm running going up my back. I go, oh hell no, man. You know. So what I'm laughing is now I got a middle-aged body, but I'm happy with it because I'm a middle-aged man. I ain't trying to be nothing I'm not. But I don't, you know, but what I'm saying, so I said, but I got to cut back a little bit on that wine because I said a little bit. So cutting back to a glass for dinner instead of I have 1 to 2 for lunch, 2 for dinner. Just have one glass, 1 to 2 a day for dinner, only dinner. Okay, that's it. Anyhow, we'll get to our special guest. So anything, Mike, what are you cutting out, Mike? Because no, Mike, you cut out.
Awful.
Because
Awful.
Because you're looking very svelte.
Yeah.
Svelte.
I was at the Winking Lizard last night. I wasn't even hungry. Guess what? I had 10 boneless wings and a couple of beers.
There you
I
go.
wasn't hungry at all.
That's it.
It just smelled good, and I suck, Damian. I'll just tell you right now. And I'm embarrassed, and I'm mad at myself. Thanks for bringing it up.
Anywho, Damian. So our special guest today, Damian Knapp. Damian's a local musician.
You're a rock star.
And Damian, let me tell you, give us your story. You're originally from Warren, Ohio?
Yeah, I grew up here. My grandfather had a Italian grocery store on Youngstown Road in Warren from like 1963 to 1995 or something like that. And so I grew up in that. I lived near the store where I grew up on Woodbine there, and I went to Harding, played football there, and started getting into music, you know, as a youth. And but football kind of held me back from my music career because it was very serious at them days, you know, 90, 91, 92. We were
football,
big time. We were number one in the country at one time. So, but I always played and
What position?
guard.
Okay.
Offensive guard, yeah. I started my senior year. It was kind of hard to get on the field, but it's a big school back then.
That's it.
I was right. I played in the very first Harding Raider football game in 1990. He put the sophomores in at the end, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's hard to get on the well back then. Now
right.
freshmen expect to be on the field, but when we
not
played,
then, no.
no, they didn't play till they were juniors.
No, we
most
had,
of the time.
no,
right.
we
That's
had like 85 players, and
Yeah,
it was
that's
real
right.
hard to get on the
Right.
field because just when you think you're going to get on the field, say you're working up and you know, all the guards are together, and you're thinking, man, I'm better. I'm getting there. They'll bring somebody from somewhere else.
That's
We'll
right.
see what he can do.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
ain't never. You know, it's tough.
It is.
But I you know, then I kept playing music, and it was really after high school. I didn't play a professional gig in high school. Most kids start that age, you know, not me. My first gig, I think I was 20 years old.
No talent show, nothing like that.
I didn't sing in the choir, wasn't in the band, any of that. I was an athlete, but we'll get to that with my father and everything. I was raised in music from a very early age.
Just guitar at first, or different instruments too?
No, the guitar is what I wanted to play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the coolest.
Well, I heard Robert Johnson, the
That's
king
right.
of the
Oh,
Delta
yeah.
Blues Singers.
Oh yeah.
And I remember that's what compelled me to actually get a guitar, get it strung left-handed, and start learning. I'd grab my stepfather at the time. I'd grab his tool kit and get a socket and slide it up and down.
Why didn't you learn right-handed?
I'm left-handed. I do everything.
I am
left-handed.
too, but I figure it's like a mouse on a computer.
as
Couldn't
we
you
all-
learn
It's
it?
been tough. I mean, it's not a good thing to be a lefty
No,
because
it's a right-handed world.
well, you go in a music store. It's like the golfing joke. You go to hell and you're golfing, but there's no club or there's
Right.
no right. You're on the green. But well, for me, I go in a music store. I can't play any of this stuff.
Well, who was it? It was Jimi Hendrix, right? He flipped the guitar upside, played it upside down.
Well, no, he actually flipped the strings though over, so he was playing the same way a righty would play.
But lefty.
But he could also, like you're talking about, just flip it upside down. He could play that way
Okay, because I remember reading about
too.
Jimmy.
Both.
Because I used to listen to Jimmy. When Jimmy was Jimmy.
Big influence
you were,
on me.
You would be
Really?
influenced, but I was listening to you because my brother, we were 5 years apart, and he used to get the albums. I remember listening to Jimmy. You know, and then you hear him, you go, man, there ain't nothing like that. And I was 8 years old.
There's nothing like that.
No,
now.
I was like
No.
listening to Jimmy, and you go 8, 9 years old, and I go, man, that's
Nobody even plays instruments
No.
now. They don't
Well, I
need
always
to.
look at the paradox of this existence. I'm very into that, and that life can sometimes be an apparent contradiction. Well, what's a paradox is that as technology has advanced, astounding. You know, we've leaps into the last 20 years with technology and auto tune and all this other stuff, and a million tracks, all digital. Jimi Hendrix recorded this stuff you like on 4-track tape. The Beatles recorded Sgt. Pepper on a 4-track
Four-track.
tape. On tape. There was no fixing anything.
Right.
There was you had to play it.
musicians, right? Real musicians.
That's how I started out. I mean, I my first recording sessions were on tape.
That's what the real musicians back then. You had to be. It's like at that time you always hear the argument who's the greatest guitarist ever, and people start bringing up Eddie Van Halen. I said, well, you got to go back to I know Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page,
Or the blues
Jeff
guys.
Beck,
The blues guys.
But Clapton. But he says he even by no much I wasn't as good as these guys. But Clapton was pretty damn good. But Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Hendrix, those are the guys you remember, man. And then later on, of course, you Stevie
Steve Ray Vaughan.
Stevie
Yeah,
Ray
he was
Vaughan,
good.
man. So they all created certain techniques and certain.
That's one of my bands. I do
Oh,
a
man.
Stevie Ray Vaughan tribute.
Oh, man,
band.
Stevie
It's
Ray
called
Vaughan was
Testify.
bad.
Yeah,
So is that right?
I've been doing it since 10. The year my son, when my wife was pregnant with our son, I called the guys and said, "Hey, we're doing a tribute band now," because I had to start making a little bit more money.
Yeah.
So but I love Stevie Ray.
Why'd you
Vaughan
pick that one?
Because I love Stevie.
Stevie
I
Ray
mean,
Vaughan.
but
Who's
you
better
know when
than
he
the Thunderbirds, man.
when he died though,
that's
I had no idea the effect and the influence he was to have on my life, because at that time, and I told this story the other day, at that time I did not listen, because at 90 I was 15, I was in two-a-days at Harding, but I remember when he died because Buddy Guy was upset and other people were upset, and I realized it was a big deal. But at that time I only listened to black blues guys. If you were white, it was rock and roll. I
That's
didn't
right.
want to
No,
hear it.
I agree.
All my stuff was B.B. King, Albert King, Freddie, the real John Lee Hooker.
John Lee Hooker,
deep.
you said Robert
Robert
Johnson.
Johnson, all that Sun House. And so Stevie Ray was like rock to me, and I'd heard it, thought it was okay, but then years later I become hypnotized by it and realized he was a genius, and I got really good at his style, playing in bands in the 90s. I got really good at learning, and it's just something that I always worked on through the years, so when the time was right, I put it together.
Well, if you listen to guys especially the guys from England, with the English invasion, Clapton,
John Mayall, the British Blues, the Stones, Keith
Stones.
Richards.
That's Keith
Yeah,
Richards.
Keith Richards.
He was a big. He was a Albert. That's the buddy guy. I mean Albert
Chuck
King.
Berry, big Chuck Berry,
But
yeah.
he was no. He was Bo Diddley.
Yeah,
Bo
he
Diddley.
loved Bo
No.
Diddley.
Keith Richards loved Bo Diddley. That's what people. Bo Diddley was an important. That's a lot. No disrespect. Chuck Berry. Bo Diddley was like right there with him. But both people remember Chuck Berry don't talk about Bo Diddley as much. But those guys all. So yeah, that was Keith Richards. He loved Bo Diddley, man. and he presented them when he went into the Hall of Fame.
And you
It
go
was
back to
good
like chess records in the 50s, like those Chuck Berry records, or Elvis at Sun. I love the Memphis sound. I love the Sun Studios. They were recording that on 2-track. I think very
Was that right?
rudiment, but brilliant. Maybe just one. So I was in Sun Studios where Elvis recorded "That's All Right Now, Mama." They got the places marked where they stood, and it's just a small studio, but the room sounds still there. It sounds fantastic in there. But they just went in there and played. And that's what I'm saying. In today's world, you got a million tracks, all digital, can't make a mistake, auto-tune, this and that. What about Elvis? He went in there and changed the world with 3 guys playing in a room.
That's right.
What happened to that?
Right. Well,
See, my records that I make, they're organic like that. I'm not, nothing digital. Everything is a real instrument being played by a person.
oh, okay. I see.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, you got guys who are doing the tracks, like a guy like Prince, for instance. And then what a genius he was. And we understand when he had a band, when he had, when Prince would travel, when he toured, he had his band. But when he was doing a recording, it was all him. It was all him.
He played all the instruments.
Every instrument.
Yeah.
And he
crazy,
did
isn't it?
and he sang the background. He'd
Sure.
do a track, he'd do the lead vocal, do background vocals in different octaves. I mean, the guy was out of his mind. And they told me, people who knew him, I used to date a girl who used to be one of his singers. And they said he was just out of his mind because he was so.
There was a guy that
all night he'd be doing these all night recording sessions, and he'd sing the backup and all of it.
All by himself.
All by himself.
There was a guy that I looked up to when I first started. He doesn't really play anymore. He's sporadic. His name's Gary Lee McKimmey. He had a band, Gary Lee and the Cat Daddies. He was like that. He could play drums, bass, backup, sing it, write it, produce it, everything. At a really young age. And his mother just unfortunately she passed away. Another loss. As you were talking about losses earlier. It just seems that way in the valley. That's part of life in the valley. I go to a lot of wakes. I think we all do.
Well, it's all eventually. I mean,
We're getting that age now.
Well, look, of course. Look, we all got an expiration date. We all know that. Just some sooner than others. That's the hard part. It's hard. It's heartbreaking. And the ones I've had to go through the last couple of weeks. Kid, 27 years old. One I won't be able to go to, and I'm 77 years old. He lived a good life, but he was there's so much life left in him. And then this kid I grew up with and played ball with, he's 58, my age, one of my contemporaries. And you just say, man, so the different age groups, it's just, but life is meant to be lived. And I tell my, I pray God, I tell my kids all the time, celebrate me. Don't mourn me, grieve me, mourn me for that 3-day period, and then celebrate me. And then, because I've had a good life. I have lived a good life. I have no regrets about how I lived my life. I just a few more things left, a couple more things in a hopper. Let's get these things going. But
what does Stallone say in the? I love the movie Rocky Balboa when he fought Tarver. Remember the stuff in the basement.
So I don't see the Rocky Balboa, the movie. The Rocky movies. But after 1 and 2, after 1,
I agree with you. But Rocky Balboa was really good.
And Tony Tarver.
The Tarver one. That was
I don't
good
remember.
one.
I don't remember lines. So I can't do that. Like my kids, my son used to imitate the lines, repeat them after the scene.
Oh, I could do.
My son
I could do
would-
Rocky
no,
3 and 4 right
son-
now if you want
My son
me
would
to.
say, I said, Ray, we just saw the scene. I don't need to hear it. And he'll do. When he was a little boy, he'd do that. And that's why I was amazed. I said, it's just certain people can do scenes. I can do scenes of certain movies, but I can't do like the whole thing. But some people can. Like you said, you can from 3 and 4. But certain movies stay with you. In fact, it didn't have some movies aren't as relevant to me as the others.
Right.
Rocky 1 and 2, the classics.
Yeah.
After that, anyway, but what do you say? What do you say, Rocky? Rocky Balboa. What do you say? Rocky Balboa say.
Oh, you could live. They could make a philosophy out of Rocky.
Right, but what did he say? You said he said what he said to Tarver, or what did he say? Well, the one with Tarver. What you said? What did Rocky character?
Well, I
say?
liked. When he's the stuff in the basement.
Yeah,
to
what did he
get
say?
it out. You got to get it. It's still in there. I got a few things left to do. That's what you were just
Okay, there
saying.
you go.
So still, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I like that part at the end when he tells Tarver, "Some people come to Vegas to lose. I didn't." Because he was. But what's interesting? A dear story from my own life that has to do with Ray is when I met him the first time. I was doing a little boxing, probably because of him. I grew up. There was a picture of him in my grandfather's store with the belt on. When he was fighting, So I grew up. He may have been the first athlete as a 3-4 years old. I saw a picture of that I heard about, and my grandfather hated Bramble. He said, "That hair, that's cheating. They need to cut that hair and the voodoo and all that." Bramble was like a boogeyman to me as a kid. Livingstone, Bramble, And I watched that fight recently, the second one.
Yeah.
I see on all 3 cards, you lost by 1 point. 1 point in a 15-round fight. I don't know about that. I watched it. I'll tell you one thing. You stood there toe to toe, and the announcers kept saying that. He's flat-footed and fighting in the center of the ring. He ain't backing up. He's going for it. It was a great fight. It's one of the best fights, I think,
Well, I appreciate
ever.
it.
I
Yeah,
love
it
that
was
fight.
great.
My God.
Thank you.
But the first time I ever met him, I was at the Golden Gloves in Youngstown with a gym, Tony Mariani's gym in McDonald.
Right.
And Ray's nephew was fighting that day. So I didn't know that. I didn't even know he was going to be there. I was just at the Golden Gloves with the gym, and then I saw him from maybe far away. And
How old do you think you were?
I was like a freshman in high school.
Okay.
So I thought maybe I'd get to say hi to him at least, right? And we ended up. He talked to me for about a half hour, maybe longer, just him and I, in one of the dressing rooms of the boxers, And to me, it was just like, I'm just this kid, and I was like, man, I can't believe my hero's talking to me like we're friends, and I just couldn't get over it. It was something that stuck with me, and I never forgot that. It meant a lot to me.
It means a lot that you remembered it.
Well, I had a shirt on that said it was "Put Up or Shut Up." The Camacho Camacho, the guy that had the neck, the accident.
Oh, Vinny Pazienza.
Vinny Pazienza Camacho, that "Put Up, Shut Up," and you recognize, oh, you got the shirt from the fight, because my grandfather used to go to the fights a lot. He went to all your fights. He went to a lot. Pete's sister, the one that owned the Italian store, he went to see all the time. Yeah. So to me, growing up, I mean, and then to meet him and have him, we talked like friends, and I just never forgot that.
I appreciate
Meanwhile, there were 3 people waiting outside for him to leave, and he wouldn't go. It happens all the time. Come on, stop talking to that little kid.
My bride would be the first to know.
Yeah.
She goes, I don't
She
wanna,
knows what I'm
she
saying.
says, I don't want to go to I don't want to go to
No, 'cause you
carnivals
never
and shit."
get anywhere.
I said, I enjoy meeting people. That's part of what I enjoy doing. Like if you don't enjoy that, and if it bothers you, then stay home.
You remember now? Maybe you do. It was at the ZZ Top Fogarty show. You were walking, and I saw him last year, and I just went up to him and said, "It's great to see you. Enjoy the show."
I appreciate
And
it.
you said, "Thank you."
That's
all.
Because I'm not, I know what it's, not
So
gonna-
then you started to
got a
box?
concert to go watch.
Yes.
You started to box a little bit?
I did, but I wasn't any good at it.
No? How come?
No. Oh,
Thus
let
the musician.
I think
Let
you
me
made the
tell
right
something.
choice.
Well, I did end up playing for the Harding Raiders when we were Corey Stringer. I went up against him for 2 years every day.
That'll make
So
you better.
That'll make you better quick. But I'll tell you, there's nothing more frightening,
Challenging.
than trying to box. It is intense. It is the most intense 3 minutes of your life. I mean, and I remember I'm in there sparring. I sparred a lot with different people. It's a different experience. I'm glad I had the experience,
Right.
and I'm glad I was smart enough to know this ain't for me.
Yes,
Because
yes.
first of all, I didn't really. You got to have. I think one great thing about athletes like Ray that you had the killer instinct as a youngin.
It's different. It's a different mindset. It's a different. I tell people, like football players, tough guys. There's a lot of tough guys out there, and then there's a lot of fighters that aren't tough guys. I mean, they're tough in the ring. They got the heart and the desire to do it, but outside they're not tough guys. It's just a certain switch that it's a little different than most, and I don't know what it is. And I'm not saying but you have to be, because you got to be goofy to go in there and want to get smacked around. You really do. It's you got to be a little changed that you want to go in there and get. You're going to get hit. We all know the ramifications, that the potential dangers of it. We all know all that stuff. To continue to do it, so it's a little different. The fighters are a little different. That's for sure.
But in football, there were kids like that too that had this. They take your head off.
Sure.
I wasn't really like that. I think by the time I was in high school, I was getting more into music.
Right.
And in fact, me and Coach Anarella, who was almost like a father to me, when I graduated from YSU, he was at my capstone. I invited him. And I told him, when we won that state championship, you remember what you said? He said, no. I said, the first words out of your mouth were, don't ever let anybody tell you can't do anything. And I was like 30-some years old when I graduated. And I said, I shouldn't be up here at my age doing this. So I was graduating, and I said, but,
Well, we say 37 years old graduate. You're not talking about high school, were you?
No,
College.
college.
You
Yeah.
threw me off with
Yeah.
that. Mike,
No,
Mike, did you
why
follow
is
or
she-
am I
No, I
mistaken?
was thinking college. In my
Oh,
mind, I was thinking
you
college.
threw
But
me
my
off.
next question was, what the hell happened between 18 and 37?
Oh, I didn't say YSU. I graduated from Youngstown
Yeah, yeah.
State.
Yeah.
But,
But between
well,
18
I worked. I got a job at Delphi right away. 18 years old. I was working in a factory, and that I didn't like it. I never liked it. I worked there 12 years, and when I got out, in 06, I've done music full time ever since. I went back to school and got a degree.
In what?
Education,
Okay.
history, education.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm a,
Do you remember how'd you get your first guitar? Did you buy it? Did somebody give it to you? Was it a present?
my mom, she got me my first guitar. Yeah,
Just
for
because
sure.
you asked, or was it a birthday, or
Christmas.
yeah?
I think I had one though that I had found, like an old Spanish guitar laying
Really?
around, and I think it was my sister's. And my sister, my older sister, she doesn't sing anymore, but she was one of those geniuses. Like she was singing on commercials when she was a kid. Me, I had to work very hard to get where I'm at. When I listen to some of my old recordings, I'm like, yeah. But when I listen to them now, I'm very happy of what I've managed to do from just sheer hard work and determination, because I was not in any stretch of the means a genius. Like Elvis was a genius. He could open his mouth from the beginning and sing, and it was beautiful. My sister was like that. There's people they can pick up a guitar like
Right,
that.
they're
Like that
musical
young,
prodigies.
you're an Allman Brothers fan, that
Yeah.
Derek Trucks.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him when he was 11 at Quaker Steak and Lube and Sharon, and he was as good as he is. Now, he was like Mozart. It was like, what do you mean?
What was
He was
the other-
11 years old. He was playing like a 50-year-old man. I mean,
What was the other kid? Charlie Sexton.
he's another young.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Charlie
Charlie
was-
Sexton
yeah.
was young in Texas, a
Yeah.
Stevie Ray Vaughan protege. Yeah.
Exactly right. And he
And
said-
Is it
I was
hard?
not one of those guys. I was not like that. I had to sweat,
Work hard.
and all these years I've done thousands of gigs, and I've recorded so many records, and just over time, it just starts to click.
Yeah.
You get,
Is it? This is probably a stupid question. Is it hard to play and sing at
Not
the same
all.
time?
I prefer it because it feels like a circle.
Right.
I prefer it. I'd rather do it together. Absolutely.
Is
I
it
would
hard
have
for
it either
some
way.
people? Because to me, it sounds like it's.
Well, because I was into
I either do
those,
one or the other. If I could do
because I was into those guys like Robert Johnson, I learned very early on to accompany myself.
it. Uh-huh.
Sure, because I started out. My heroes were those old country bluesmen from the '30s: Sunhouse, Charlie Patton, Robert Johnson. That's where I come
Sonny
from.
Rollins.
He was a jazz guy,
Jazz
but
guy.
one of the
Okay.
greatest
That's
jazz
it.
guys.
Because jazz, Sonny is jazz. You're right. Absolutely right.
And I like early jazz. I like Charlie Christian and Lester Young. I like 1920s pop music, early ragtime. There's a show that I do in my acoustic act. It's celebrating American music. And I do, like I said, Scott Joplin to Louis Armstrong to Hank Williams Sr., Robert Johnson. People like, classic tunes like Sweet Georgia Brown.
sure.
I don't get to do that show that often, but when I do, I really enjoy it.
Well, come back. I think I told you I met Greg.
Yeah, you knew Greg
When I
Allman,
Greg,
yeah.
I met him. I got to know him. Not only about a year and a half before he passed, but met him and me and my wife met him backstage up at Cleveland, and he played at the Hard Rock Roxino and went at backstage. And he was, he's a big Fight fan. And, oh man, I'm honored. But I'll never forget. I think I told the story before. I said to him, I said, "Man, my brother used to listen to you. I remember listening to all that Southern Fried Rock. You, Skinnerd, James Gang, 38 Special, and Marshall Tucker." And he said, "Yeah, man, but don't forget, man, we were first."
Yes.
And they were.
Yes,
were
they
about-
invented it.
They were about 14, 12, not quite a year ahead of Skinnerd. And he said, and I said that, man, I love listening to that Southern Fried Rock. He said, "No, man, it's just rock. We ain't no chicken." I started laughing.
Yeah.
Greg Allman was not an easy person to meet.
No, it
So
wasn't.
that-
I
that
was,
Yeah.
And,
Did he
but-
call you back there, or
Well,
did
no,
you ask
that-
to come back there?
Well, no, I don't ever ask to go. I don't do that. They told him I was there,
Uh-huh.
and they said, so I don't say he asked, but they said, we'd like to bring him back, and he obviously
That's how it
said
works?
yes. They said, yeah, bring him back.
Huh.
But I was honored. I was fine. And then we stayed friends, and I got texts from him still. I still got him in my book. Last time I emailed him. But what I was getting to is, he was a blues guy.
Oh, absolutely.
And he
totally.
He was and if all the music from he changed his music, changed Southern music. They were a little before Skinner. They had, and Skinner and them, I'm not saying emulate him, but they come a little bit. But Skinner's more of rock,
You can hear the
But
difference.
you
Huge,
said-
the jazz and
but
the
the
Allman
jazz,
Brothers.
because he was a big blues fan, Greg Allman, and he loved all these black artists that before, and you hear it in his music. You hear the bluesy, you hear all that bluesy stuff, you know.
Well, Dwayne's idea for that band was interplay. 2 drummers, 2 guitar players. The JMO, who's still alive, there's only 2 left. He said, I was surprised Dwayne didn't have 2 bass players because he wanted 2 of everything.
Because
Interplay,
why?
Interplay. They were real into jazz, too. Dickie Betts was more of a country guy.
yeah,
So you put all that together in a stew, and it's pretty wicked. And that's what it was. You know, they invented a new kind of music. They evoked change.
I think Dickie
The
Betts
Allman
is still
Brothers.
alive.
Yes, yeah, Dickie Betts and JMO. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, something that I've always felt a kinship with you is how, you know, the famous story everybody knows that you promised your dad when he was 12 that you were going to win the title, and we talked about that earlier. You implicitly told him that you told him that, and that. See, my father too was a famous musician, definitely around here. They played with a lot of famous people. They had 2 records. If you want to hand me those, I'll show you real quick. You know, just like when I was watching The Good Son, you get the old scrapbooks out. I have a scrapbook like that.
Yeah.
And this was their album they did on Buddha Records here.
Records.
It's called the I Don't Care
Care.
Band.
Let me see.
Yeah.
That's the name of the band.
That was the name of the band. Yeah, they used
I
to.
Don't
Is that their
Care
first
Band.
album?
Yeah, that was 76, a year after I was born. So
Okay.
I.
What was going to be blues? Is it blues or
No,
rock?
it's like jazz fusion.
Jazz fusion.
Rock, yeah.
Yeah.
I told. My dad was doing a gig the night I was born. That's the truth.
Really?
So when
in
I was
town or someplace
Cleveland.
else?
Cleveland.
Then you had to bust it back.
Yeah, why he was late. I know that, but
Uh-huh.
when I was actually coming out
that
of,
was Peter?
No, that was Peter Knapp. Yeah,
Peter Knapp.
That's my dad's side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Peter
my
Knapp.
mom's side, the Italians.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, your
Okay.
dad was Peter Knapp.
Yes, that's it.
It's a trumpeter, flugelhorn, vocals. I mean, he did all that stuff. He played all that.
Well,
played
he
a lot of
wrote
brass.
most of the lyrics on that
Yeah,
album
he
too.
played a lot of brass.
Yeah, but he wrote most of the songs.
I don't even
Well,
know what a
but-
flugelhorn is. It
It's
sounds
a
made
trumpet.
up. Oh,
Yeah, a different kind of trumpet. And then they did another album in '81 on CBS called Graph. At that point he was just managing the group. He wasn't did not on that record. He was the manager that got the deal, you know. But the point I'm making here is like Ray, you know, my dad. He wanted to, like Ray's dad, his dream was to be champ. Well, my dad's dream was to be, like, you know, evoke change in music, to rock, you know, rock stars, you know. But it didn't work out. And so I never implicitly stated it to him. I never told him I'm going to try and do this or that. But I think he knew, and it's always been a big part of my life to keep his legacy alive. And hopefully, you know, in music, that's one of the differences between being a musician and a boxer, is a musician can make it when he's 50. Buddy Guy was like
Oh,
that.
right.
Yeah, a lot of
Right.
guys. But
But,
boxer, you got short window.
Well,
You
I've said
gotta
that.
get done,
You
yeah.
know, it's funny, Damian. I've said repeatedly, I said, if I could do it all again, I wouldn't change my life. But if I have a choice, I tell you, I would love to be a musician because you could play when you're old, play
Yeah.
when you're young,
Yeah.
you could sing, and you could play for yourself. You don't have to play for nobody but yourself.
Right.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
It is.
And be able to sing. If I can't sing a lick, but it's
no, I heard you could sing. No,
Not a-
somebody seriously
not a
told
lick.
me that you came to their class one time and sang, and it was beautiful.
Really?
Swear to
Are
God,
you-
I
are
heard
you-
that. No,
that's
swear to God, you came to their
whoever said it, I
high school
appreciate
class or
that.
grade
It's
school
very-
class,
I
and they
appreciate-
were shocked. You sang something a cappella, and they were shocked.
I like it.
how good it
A
was.
cappella, because you can say, is that even good? Cause
Well, you're
can-
Italian. Italians
to
can
compare it
sing.
to,
We're- yeah,
right?
we're
You're going
crooners
back
by
to-
nature, aren't
well,
we?
we're going back to
Acapella.
opera times now. You know, I mean, come on, Italy.
I sing a cappella like Barney Fife. A cappella, a cappella.
We all know that
If
episode
you watch
ended.
Andy Griffith as much as I do on, and my wife will tell you, because it's on all the time, on TV Land, you'd understand that joke.
I get the.
Well, so
I do. That's a funny episode.
It is.
When they're playing in that for the fair for the choir, and then he has to just mouth the words, and they got the guy behind the curtain. It's a good episode.
I was raised by my mom. So without her, my dad, you know, he took off for he lived in Maui, I think, after 7th grade, and he didn't come back for like 15 years. And I went out there a couple of times, didn't really work out. We didn't really get along that well, really. And then the summer of '03, he was living back here, and he had fallen on some hard times and had to leave the island. So I went over there and saw him in the early spring of '03, late spring, and then we started. His dream was always to make a record with me.
That was going to be my next question.
He had 2 notebooks that he brought back with him from Hawaii. He didn't play music no more out there, but he wrote a lot of stuff. So he wanted me to do something with his music because at that point I had been playing professionally for like 8 years. So, and I had done some recording. So him and I, we did write a collection of songs together. I haven't given you this album yet. I haven't released it. It's called Maui in the Sun. And that's all my dad's lyrics and my music.
Did you ever jam with him?
Well, we wrote the songs together.
I mean, did you when you did the album? Did you play along with him?
Well, yeah.
I mean, did that mean a lot to you? Is it like me playing catch with my dad?
No, I mean, it wasn't like he was more of a director. Like I would play this chord and that chord for him, and he would just no, and then finally, yeah, and that's how we did it. He'd just get it to where he wanted it. I'd play it so many different ways.
Right.
And so we did this album together. I finished this about 1.5 years ago. But I haven't released it yet because, like I said, I also just finished this record, the one I gave you, which is my blues record, Decay In Our Cities, which is really the record I'm pushing right now, because it's a blues record, and I'm very excited about it. It's all originals, and all the songs are about like what we're dealing with here in the Rust Belt. I don't write songs about picking cotton and riding trains because I never did that.
Right.
I write songs about. There's a song on there, "On My Way to Work." It's about my old drive to the factory every day. There's a song on, the title track, "Decay in Our Cities." I mean, that's implicit that what that's about,
Right. Right.
and what we've had to experience here. And in songs like "$3.99 for a Gallon of Gas," I touch a little bit on the, the rich and the poor kind of thing, the social bent. I like to write the social bent. I like to write about Rust Belt issues, back roads. Old bars with a bar. There's a song on there about the band Sideshow that played around here for like 30 some years, and I used to go see them when I was a kid. Well, I wrote a song about the band, going to see the band. That's all personal.
Which one's you? This one?
No, that is the drummer and the bass player that played that played a lot on this record, and then I'm in the middle.
Yeah,
there.
I thought that was you in the middle.
Yeah.
Younger.
That's actually an older artwork. There's more updated artwork, but I sold out of them right now, so I didn't even have one to bring, which is good.
Now, Damon, we were talking before we went on there about the idea of wearing the sunglasses.
Yeah,
good. Tell me about, because I made the joke, and it's a joke, ladies and gentlemen. I always tell people when I'm talking to people, and I say I've had meetings, and guys will come with sunglasses. I go, yo, man, take the sunglasses off. I want to see your eyes, because I want to know if you're full of crap or if you think I'm full of crap. But I want to see your eyes. Eyes tell a story. But Damian tells a story. I said, but musicians, and a lot of times, musicians, and you give them a pass because musicians are quirky people, first of all.
Oh.
And they're artistic, and they have a reason for it. But Damon, your reason was interesting when you were telling me why you wear sunglasses. And you wear it when you perform.
Yes.
And tell that reason why, please.
Well, in my early career, I did not wear sunglasses, and I used to think that guys who did, I didn't really like it. And I thought, nah, I ain't never going to wear no sunglasses on stage, But as times changed, and we've gotten into this digital world where people have the laptops at the gigs, their phones, they're all watching the phone. They got 20 TVs that are on. And sometimes they'll have a big TV on behind me playing a football game while I'm playing.
Right.
It's just this, and, there's so much...
stimulus going on,
and plus, in my opinion, live music is not as popular as it used to be. It's just not. I mean, it can still be big in an event like the Youngstown Amphitheater, bigger time stuff. But as far as like the clubs that I used to duke it out in when I was younger, playing it, they're all gone. A lot of them are gone. It's that regular weekend stuff that I grew up, that I wrote the song about, and that I enjoyed. The '90s were great because all the old hippies were still going out. They loved music. They loved improv. They listened. They focused. They were great audience. And I was naive, thinking, oh, this is the way it's going to be for my whole life. Yeah, right. That was about a 3 or 4 or 5 year window. And then once, but the thing of it is, the shades kind of give me protection from. I've often joked I should be studied by a sociology professor at YSU on the effects of being ignored. because if I'm playing a blues festival or a concert, or I'm opening up for a tribute band at the Amp, which I've done, or I'm doing things of that nature, then there's a crowd there and it's a great time. People are into it and they love it. A lot of times, though, for the musician, and we all talk about it, it's not just me, we all talk about it, people, a lot of times, they're in the bars, that they're busy. They're on their phone. They're background music. It's not, and that's just the way it is. Right. If I'm doing an event, if I'm doing a CD release party, if I'm doing an event like that, then it's better, right? People come. But I have several bands, but my moonlighting gig, which is really my bread and butter, is solo acoustic. You go set up in a corner, play a bunch of different stuff, people have a good time. But, there was a club I played, I won't say where it was, but I'm not going back because the people there were complaining that it was too loud, so they could talk louder than I could play. And by the end of the night, I had the PA completely off. I told the lady, it's not even on. So I just played music, got a sandwich, and called it a day. Got my money and went home. Right. It's like, but if people today, it's almost like if they didn't buy a ticket to see it, or they didn't go to a festival or to amphitheater, a lot of they don't care. They're not interested.
But you were saying earlier, but you like the autonomy that it
gives. The autonomy, yeah, it does. It gives me autonomy, and it gives me a shield from some of that stuff that I see going on out there that I don't really like, that I have to deal with.
Why does that bother you? I mean, what do you care if you get paid for it and you're doing your thing? And
well, when they can talk louder than you can play, and the room, a lot of these new rooms, this was a new place in a plaza, they're not built for sound.
No.
The sound's swirling around like this echo. It's
you're in
crazy.
a restaurant.
People are talking real loud, and it's terrible.
Yeah,
no, I mean, no, I don't want to do that. No. But it happens.
Yeah, I would think that was just common respect, common courtesy. It's like when you're at a banquet, people are talking, and the guys up there talking, people out of common courtesy, you should be just listening. So I'm assuming someone's performing. Now, like you said, it could be background music. If it's like a piano player, or sometimes you get acoustic player, but it's used as background music. That's okay too.
See, when I was coming up, it wasn't at all. It was like people went to see the guy because when I started out in the mid-'90s, the whole Nirvana thing had just happened, the alternative music. People were into acoustic. They were into MTV Unplugged. Remember MTV? Sure. It made, the acoustic thing was really cool. And people would actually go, like I said, in the 90s when I started, that the people would actually come and hang on every note. And I was a little naive. Because, when I started, there was no cell phones, no internet.
Right.
There was 25 cable channels, and college football ended at 6 o'clock. Now there's games all night, 24 hours a day.
That's right.
And it's just hard to... okay, if Ohio State's playing at night, you're lucky if you get to play, first of all. Right. They might cancel you, and if you do, if they lose, forget it.
Everybody's pissed.
The balloon's just deflated, and everybody goes home and is... Yeah, so I deal with all that kind of stuff.
That's right. And it's an ego. Look, your ego gets bruised. We're, as entertainers, everyone has an ego. And, I get ego, get bruised. I understand that. I'd feel bad. I would feel bad.
Yeah, there's a difference between if you want to go see a band or a singer, or I'm going to that bar and there just happens to be a singer.
There's a big difference.
Right.
I've done both. I mean, when the Tangled Up in Blues, Cornell Bogdan, and he'd have the National Blues acts come through, I opened for all of them. I opened for John Hammond at the old B&O station.
Yeah, that's right.
His father's probably one of the most famous people of the 20th century for music. He discovered Dylan, Stevie Ray Vaughan. He tried to bring Robert Johnson to Carnegie Hall, but he had already died. John Hammond Sr. His son, who didn't really know his dad, John Hammond Jr., is a great country blues artist who's been recording since the 60s.
Talk about...
And so I opened for him, Magic Slim, Devin Allman. I told you I played with Greg Allman's son.
I was just going to say who we talked about. I said we were talking about the musician and Greg Allman's, or is it Greg Allman's son?
Yeah, Devin.
Yeah. That's right.
Biggest gig you ever did?
Most people?
Yeah, let's go with most people first, and then your favorite.
2010, I played at the Warren Amphitheater on Harley Davidson Bike Night when they gave away the Harley. And we went on before a Leonard Skinner tribute band. So
were you in a tribute band then? Or
no,
was it just
I just did my own band. I did some Stevie Ray Vaughan. I did some Allman Brothers. I did some different things. But there was probably like 4,000 or 5,000 people there. It was very crowded. Yeah, that was a good show.
Was that your favorite show?
Geez, I think maybe one of my favorite times was when I got to play with Magic Slim, who's in the blues world is a god. And I went to go see him as a teenager all the time in Cleveland every time. He was a Chicago guy, big guy, 6'8", 350.
Not
Great.
slim at all.
Magic Slim. No, he was great. He was from the South Side of Chicago, really great. And I got to open for him, and I told him I used to go see you play. And he goes, "Well, come on up and join me." And then he called me up, and we jammed. That was a really good.
That's a thrill, I bet.
It was playing with one of your heroes, and
Right.
that's one of the things that, I worked in the factory, and I've done a lot of other things. I played football when I was younger, so I had like some of these, you could say, almost like things keeping me from
That's great. And yeah,
pursuing the
of
music
course.
thing.
You gotta keep something to keep you that juice.
But one of the things that I regret about maybe not being a little bit more business astute in my youth, or really understanding how to do this, was that a lot of the guys I wanted to play with are gone. B.B. King, he's gone. I would have loved to have played with B.B. King. I mean, that to me, that's making it.
No,
Forget
King.
the money, forget the fame. I don't care. Like when I would see guys my age that did make it and they get to play with some of these guys, that's what made me, jealous. I was, oh man, I wish I could have got to play with,
I mean, people forget about it. Albert King. Albert King.
Oh, dude.
People think that is that B.B. King's brother? I said no. No, but they were contemporaries. But like, B.B. was earlier.
famous. He was just more
Famous.
famous.
But they were. But Albert King's bad.
I'll tell you a really cool Albert King story. I went to see B.B. King freshman year of high school, and I was really getting into the blues and that. And we went to Front Row Theater, where the theater went around. Remember that place? And I was, who's this guy,
my
Albert
favorite
King,
place.
opening for B? Must be his brother. I thought the same thing. Man, Albert King opened the show, and the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I have never heard guitar tone like that ever again, and I never will. Seeing Albert King play live was intense. By the time BB come on, I was hooked on Albert. I had changed in a night. I was like, wow, he's way better than BB, but BB's great. I mean, BB King was almost a jazz guy, very educated, very, very great musician. Albert King was pure genius because he played the guitar upside down
Well, did he?
with the strings up the opposite way, like we were talking about earlier. He didn't restring it. Now that's how he got those bends, those sounds, as he was playing the guitar like this, from the skinny
The other
string
way.
was on
Yeah.
top, right?
The first note is the opposite. Well, any good party stories? Any good rock and roll bash
You know,
stories
that's
backstage?
another funny thing. I'm wondering here. I've been doing this 25 years. Where's
Where's-
all these good times I read
Yeah.
about? I never had them. I've been fighting my way out of the Hey, I
Trying to
don't.
get from underneath the cellar, man. Let's give this guy a shot.
You got nothing? Come on. You're a rock star, period.
No, you know what? I played blues most of my life, although in the last 5 years I've really opened up. My solo acoustic, I know about 1,000 songs. I can play anything anybody would want to hear. I can play it. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, seriously, I just know so many songs. And over years, wherever you go, and I've played a lot of different places, people they request the same songs.
right.
Here I lived out in Colorado for a minute. They like the same things out there. I've been here and there, and it's you get to know what the people want to hear. But I grew up playing blues, and blues guys, we're not You got to go see them pop rock guys where they have the motto on their arm and all that stuff.
I was
we're
hoping
more
I'd
working
hear
class.
more about that.
Working-class
We're
guys.
more working
Working
class.
class,
Blues
it.
is working class.
Do you want to play something for us?
Sure, I do.
We got the
absolutely.
guitar here, right?
Yeah, it's right there, bud.
I love how Mike did this. So we have it here. Sitting right next to Mike.
The thing is,
that was
how am I
supposed to be
gonna
like,
get-
oh, we got somewhere.
Whoa! That was fast. Yeah, slide that back. Gonna
I
go right
actually
into
was working on a song I've been wanting to play for years, and I can't believe that it took me this long. But I had it on my docket for years. I got to get to that tune, Warren Zevon, Boom Boom is.
Ah,
So Warren Zevon has a song
Yeah,
about him.
I've heard it my whole life. I love it. I've been a fan of the song for a long. So finally, when I found I was going to be in the shows, I'm going to finally get that. Now I've been playing it out. I played it in downtown Youngstown at that new Whistle and Keg.
oh, did you?
Last week, people liked it a lot.
they?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Had they heard of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see here. Hurry home early. Hurry on home. Boom Boom Mancini's fighting Bobby Chacon. From Youngstown, Ohio, came Boom Boom Mancini, a lightweight contender like father, like son. So hurry home early, hurry on home. Boom, boom, man, sing, he's fighting Bobby Chacon. Yeah.
Oh, man, that was beautiful, man.
I love that.
That's got to be a
appreciate
thrill.
that. It is.
Come on.
No, it's an honor that he's singing it. I truly appreciate that, my brother.
Did you know
I
it was
just
going
wish
to be?
I would have wrote it.
Yeah. Did you know it was going to be on an album? Do they
No, I
contact
didn't know
you?
anything about this. They contacted me. They came out in 1987. I got contacted by Jerry Moss from A&M Records. No, I'm sorry. My bad. That was another story. By Chris Mancini, Henry Mancini's son, who was working at I'll tell you the record company at the time. I'll think of it in a minute. Who was, and he said, "Hey," he says, "You know who Warren Zevon is?" I said, "Yeah." He guy called me, introduced himself, who he was. He says, "You know who Warren Zevon?" I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, he wrote the song about you." About me? He's always a big Fight fan. He's a big fan of yours. I said, "Well, I know, Lawyer Wise of Money, Werewolves of London, and all those songs, because Warren was alternative before there's such a term. And he was a great writer. He wrote a lot of songs. Him and Jackson Brown. Jackson Brown was another songwriter. Wrote for a lot of others before
the
he hit.
Eagles. He wrote
hit
the
Let me
Right.
grab this so you can talk in your
Right.
mic a little bit closer. Go ahead, Ray.
And so,
And you move your mic up too.
okay, move mine up. Okay,
you
here we go. So thank you. So I said, yeah, I'm a fan. I know who he is. So he wrote the song. I said, well, can I hear it? They said, yeah, we just want you if there's no problem. I said, no, not for me. And so they wanted to have to get clearance from an agent, whatever. I said, no. I mean, he wrote it. You could write it because I said, no, I'm flattered. I'm honored. He sent me the song. I listened to it and I went, wow, man, that's because that early riff, that for dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun,
great
dun,
riff,
dun,
great
dun,
riff.
dun, dun. That's when I said I was so flattered by honored. I never met him at that point. So later on, months later, and then the song came on the radio. And one time it was the most requested song in New Jersey, New York area, and on rock stations. And like I said, I was so flattered by it. And then I found out, I think I told you this before, but I'll give you the trivia answer. But then I found out that we met later in the year. I wanted to meet him to set it up, and he was doing a video for another song on that album called Leave My Monkey Alone, written with George Clinton, the Atomic Dog.
Yeah.
So him and George Clinton were doing a video. So I went to meet them in West Hollywood at a soundstage where they were recording, doing the video, and I went in there and George Clinton was there. Met him, and then got to meet Warren, and it was called who was coordinating, the coordinator of the dance for the song was Paul Abdul.
How about that?
Yeah, she was the choreographer. Choreographer for that video was Paul Abdul. So that was So that's how I met Warren. That's got him talking
Good
to
story.
him, and then we kept in touch, and invited him to one of my last fights, and I've been someone's son Jordan. We stay in touch with Jordan Zevon, and then of course Warren's that, and I got to talk about 6 months, 7 months before that. And I always felt bad. I didn't call him after. Anyway, life gets away, but it's no excuse and he passed. I was heartbroken. And
He did a great album right
before he
died.
passed,
It's called
yes,
The Wind.
the wind, and that song, "Remember Me When I'm
Oh,
Gone."
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Remember me when I'm gone.
Yeah.
It's same with Greg Allman. Greg Allman wrote a
Southern Blood. His last
Southern Blood.
album was fantastic.
and he wrote a song. What was it? One of them was "Remember Me When I'm Gone." Was
the
that
first song on the album.
was
yeah. it's
"Remember Me
about-
When I'm Gone"? Was that Greg or was it the? Both wrote songs. What when they're remembering when?
Yeah.
when-
Greg did too. Yeah.
Yeah,
his
but I
last
can't
album.
remember.
It was
and I'm-
released the day after he died.
And I can't remember the name of that song. But they both did songs. Warren was like "Remember Me When I'm Gone," and Greg did one that was.
Well,
similar.
that album Maui and the Sun that I showed you. Now I said we got together in the summer of '03. My dad and I, after years of estrangement, and we wrote all that music. He died in October. So if it was a day, it was 5 to midnight. If his life was a 24-hour day, it was 2 to midnight because he had a couple months to live, and he gave
Did
me.
you know that? You know how
No,
sick
we
he was?
no. He gave me his notebooks, and we had written all this music, and I hadn't recorded any of it, but he knew I was going to, and that was really his dream, was for him and I to do an album together, and that's what Maui and the Sun is. Now that music I'm going to release probably, I'm thinking October of 2020.
And people can get this on iTunes or
No, Maui and the Sun's not available anywhere right now. Decay in Our Cities is available at my shows, and it's available on Bandcamp. But you can buy it digitally on Bandcamp, but I have not released it yet either because I'm shopping it. Okay. I sent one to Alligator Records in Chicago and a few other labels, and I'm working on getting some reviews and some some things that the turtle wins the race. That's one thing I've learned in my career with music. There's no sense in rushing anything. The turtle wins the race. And it's best to be diligent and patient.
Absolutely, man.
And that's
there's no doubt.
One of my earliest guitar teachers, Youngstown guy, Teddy Pentelis. He always taught me that the turtle wins the race. That's his saying.
Well, that's true. That's true. Man.
So that's why you're waiting to.
I'm waiting. This is probably October 2020.
How come?
Well, first of all, because right now I'm promoting this one.
I've
been in the studio. I spent about 4 straight years in the studio. One day I woke up, I must have been 15, late 15, and I started playing some of my songs again. And like this album here, Maui and the Sun, we wrote it in 03. Now I released a collection of these songs in 06. And at that time I was younger. I didn't really know how to make a record yet. Well, I just redid this at Mike Talenka's at Toontown in 16, 17. 18, 2006, and I'm very happy with it now. And I feel that it's a more truer, example of our work. Yeah.
Well, when this comes out, please come back or let us know so we can pump it, promote it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Right now, I'm really pushing the blues album because I think right now the
Decay in Our Cities, you got it. I've got it. Believe me, I listen to it. I like it. If you're a blues fan, you're gonna love this. Damian can play, man. He can sing, and if you could like it.
I like that song, Nobody Wants to Budge. It was song number 2, and it's about the modern, political scene. It's so bad. It's everybody's got a grudge, but nobody wants to budge.
Yeah.
Well, that's the hook, and it's, I'll play some of it. I don't know how much time we have left.
Well,
we're getting there. We're getting to the bottom, but
yeah,
that's okay.
I'll just play one verse.
Yeah, do that.
And then I want to ask you about the state of music today.
Oh, geez.
As we get out, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, that song, Nobody Wants to Budge.
And how do we get this album, Decay in Our Cities?
You can get that on Bandcamp because I can put it on Bandcamp, but it ain't officially released.
And Bandcamp's what?
Because who wants to sign an album that's released already?
That's right.
No, I'm just shopping it right now.
That's right.
What did I say? Nobody wants to budge. Just like Calmest to the left of me, fastest to the right. No man's land, no peace in sight. Double standards rule the day. People are slinging mud. Everybody's got a grudge, but nobody wants to budge. Political dogma infects our brains. People pointing fingers, blame, blame, blame. Media distortion spins our news. They really must think we're dumb. Well, everybody's got a grudge, but nobody wants to budge.
There you go. Decay in Our Cities by Damian Knapp.
And that's
Bandcamp.
I'm thinking about doing a radio push with that song about June of next year during election season.
Damon, you got to, and you got to. It starts with grassroots marketing, man. Got to do it here. You got to get these guys to play your stuff.
Well, what I see is probably going to be one of the most vicious elections in U.S. history. That song, push it to blues radio around the heat of the election season. In all this anger and hatred, here's a guy from the Rust Belt talking about, let's get a grip here a little bit, and maybe take a look at ourselves.
That's
and,
for sure.
Yeah,
That's
'cause,
for sure.
Come on.
That's
We live
for
in the
sure.
greatest country in the world.
That's for
there's no
sure.
doubt about that. So,
Do you like the way music's going?
no.
Does it bother you?
No, because it doesn't. Because a lot of these young blues guys that are out there, like Joe Bonamassa and different people like that, they're great and everything, but they don't play my style. I know the old style, like B.B. King and that, Johnny Winter, Robert Johnson, Dwayne Allman. Those are my guys.
Joe Bonamassa is
He's awesome.
bad man.
He's
badass.
He could play guitar. He could play circles around,
I understand.
around me. He's a wonderful. But I just,
You know about style-wise. That what you mean?
yeah, style wise, I just don't really like that. I like Johnny Winter and I like Stevie Ray Vaughan. It's a different vibe. It's old school. They're.
Johnny Winter. Do you remember this Edgar Winter?
I met him. Yeah.
Edgar Winter.
Yeah. it's his
Edgar, my
brother.
brother used to have Edgar Winter, man. Edgar Winter, and he was
Yeah.
albino. They were brothers, and Johnny too. They're albinos. That was trippy. I didn't know at the time. Look at that guy, Edgar Winter band, and then the Johnny Winter band. They had their own bands.
I got to hang out with Johnny quite a few times. I got to know him a little bit, and he liked hanging out with me because I knew my blues history,
Yeah.
and he knew I wasn't kidding, and that I knew what I was talking about. And the last time I met Johnny, I acted like a fan, and he didn't like.
Yeah.
And he died not long after. The last time I got on the bus,
You were a fanboy. What's the matter with that?
well,
What's
but
the matter?
I'd hung with him as a friend. We
Yes,
talked
you
blues.
were
We
friends.
did good.
That's it, but you
then
could be a
something
fanboy.
hit me when I'm
be
oh
a
my God,
fanboy.
I'm sitting next to Johnny
What's
Winter.
that? Would you be a fanboy? Why not? That's okay.
Well, he.
Didn't go over well.
No, he was always
cool with
very
it?
professional. But yeah, we didn't talk as well as we had talked before, and it's because maybe I think he I could tell he was probably thinking, why is he acting like that? I've talked to this guy enough, and because Johnny was real down to earth. He loved the blues, and
Hey.
yeah.
If anybody's a jazz fan or a blues fan or a rock fan, if you know these groups that Damian is talking about, stuff, we always like to hear your feedback and let's what's I'd like to know what some of your favorite Southern fried rock groups are. Like I said, you have Skinner, you have Allman Brothers, 38 Special, all those groups. That if any of you love that type of music, man, hit us up with who are your favorite musicians or favorite groups at that time. I'd like to know, man, because I love that stuff.
No, it's cool.
Yeah.
Music.
But Damon, I can't thank you
Nothing
enough,
like
my
it.
friend. Honest to God, I can't thank you enough for coming out. You got great energy about you. Great, thank you for playing.
What's the next gig? What do you got next?
Life is stranger than fiction because
That's the fact.
Ray, I think he can feel that he was such a hero of mine growing
Thank
up.
you. I appreciate it.
I
Honest to
tried
God, I mean it.
boxing. I wanted to be Ray Mancini, and a lot of us teenagers did.
Thank you.
And so for me to sit here with him in the year 2019, life is surreal. It's
I
very
appreciate it,
surreal,
man.
but
My
it
brother, I
means so
appreciate
much
it,
to
man.
me
That
because
means the world to
I'm
me.
very
Honest to God.
knowledgeable
That
about
means the
his
world.
fights.
Yeah, and I
Like
appreciate
I said,
it.
Livingstone Bramble was the boogeyman, and
Well, but you know what? I've gotten to be friends with him. We got. I
really?
met him. I hadn't seen him in 30
How's
something
he
years.
doing?
And he's doing all right. He's a
down-
good guy.
is he
Man, he's a
still
good
down
guy.
there in the islands? Yeah.
No. He lives in Las Vegas.
Oh,
Lives in Las
okay.
Vegas.
All right.
And we got to be at an event together, and it was just that's all behind us. We were two competitors, but he's a good guy.
I think
He's
he
a
won
good
the
guy.
rematch. Did
I
he?
thought I wanted a rematch too, and most people.
Why do you think it did? What was going on?
Who
there?
knows?
Who knows?
Dick Wolf. Dick Wolf was a writer for New York Post.
Yeah. Oh,
Not
I
Dick,
know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
New York Daily News.
Sure.
Dick Wolf didn't give nobody credit for nothing. And man, he was the toughest guy. But man, after that fight, he said, he said, blood doesn't score points because I was playing, a lot of cuts.
Yeah.
He said punches do, and if you're going to go by that fight, if punches score, fights are won and lost by punches landed. Ray Mancini won that fight. Clearly won that fight.
The Camacho fight is the no-brainer.
That's
That's
all
crazy.
different. That's
But
all
I watched that fight again, and Camacho was he was a hell of an athlete.
Good fighter,
wasn't
good
he?
fighter,
Jeez.
good fighter.
But you know what?
but you
There's
gotta
no
fight.
way he won that fight.
No, you got
There's
to
no
fight.
way.
Camacho was a terrific fighter, but you can't run. You did a lot of
No.
running. Good athlete, like you said, but you can't run. You got the ideas to hit.
He didn't even give you a scratch.
That's why I heard other people say. I heard these young fighters say, defense wins titles. We ain't playing football.
Right.
We ain't playing basketball. No other sport is it only in boxing. It's offense that wins a title. You got to hit the other man more than hit you.
Right.
Or hit the other man harder than hit you. That's offense. That's not defense. Yeah, I just get hit, not get hit. Yeah, I get that. I just hit the guy, make him miss, and make him pay for it. That's what you mean. But defense, well, no other sport but boxing, there's offense wins you championships. Boxing, you got to hit the other man more than hit you, harder than he hits you.
I watched the
and that's
Camacho
offense.
fight
And
at Music Hall.
That's it.
On the widescreen
Oh, my
TV.
God.
We were also disappointed.
I wouldn't.
Oh,
I'd
we
be
were so
Camacho. I'd be
disappointed.
Camacho.
We were also. You should have heard the boos at Packard Music
I
Hall.
appreciate that.
I mean, we were. My grandfather took me. He
I
took me
appreciate
and my cousins
Thank
to
you.
see that fight, and that fight was like, come 44, so I was right at the right age. That was just a huge
Thank you.
fight to me. And
Thank you.
you know what? Though I'm serious here. I've never gotten over that they robbed you of that fight,
Yeah, I
because the
appreciate it.
Camacho
No.
fight was a big deal to
It
me.
would've changed.
And it was bull. It really was, man.
And yeah, I beat him, and I appreciate
And
that.
everybody really wanted you to beat him, because I know he was an act. He
But we got-
acted right.
but-
A lot of he was a showman.
but right.
But he sure did act like a jerk in the
Oh, of
press
course, of
conferences, and
course.
everybody wanted
that
you
was-
to. Yeah,
And we
win.
became friends afterwards too with him.
Yeah,
I
I
became
know
friends
you
with him,
did,
and
yeah.
good guy. And unfortunately, God rest his soul,
yeah.
he's gone before us.
Yeah.
Dave, I can't thank you enough, my brother. I enjoyed this. We got to get you back. We got to get you back.
Sure,
I'll look
it's a
forward
thrill
to-
for me to sit
and
here.
and
with
I
you.
appreciate that. We got to get you.
champ.
And I thank you, my friend. for
Thank
coming.
you, sir.
And
I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. We appreciate you sticking around for us for a little of overtime. But I hope you enjoyed today's show. I hope you got a little more knowledgeable about the blues scene, because I am. And Mike, anything?
I
we have
just
to say?
enjoyed it. I enjoyed every bit of
Do
it.
we
Thank
have
you.
any? Do we have any sponsors? That we have to? But
No, we are good. We are good to go. I
yeah,
just
we're
wanted
not-
to say next week the big. You're doing the. You're
Yeah.
going on the road, and then you'll
I'll
be
be
back.
on road. Let me tell you. Yeah, I'll be back again this time next week, next Tuesday. But watch Saturday night
you.
on Fox. I will be at my class reunion, so I'll be watching up on TV. I have a class reunion 40 years. How about that? So yeah,
Who
and
thunk?
how about that? Who would have thunk it? So anyhow, we'll be at that class of '79 Cardinal Mooney High School. Until next time. Again, tell your friends, enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the show. But until next time, take care of each other, love each other. Good night, and God bless.